This is Fantastic, the Atari 8-bit podcast.
This is Antic, the Atari 8-bit podcast. I'm Kay Savitz. Frantisek Houra is better known to the Atari community as Fandal. He's an Atari computer programmer and longtime archivist of European Atari software. He's created many original Atari games and conversions from other platforms, including Fruity Pete, Mashed Turtles, Crescent Solitaire, and Diamondz with a Z. This interview took place on August 28, 2019, during the Fujiama Atari conference in Lengenfeld, Germany. Roland Wassenberg sat in to assist with the interview. Shortly after, Fandal and I and several other attendees hooked up a multijoy and played some rounds of Mashed Turtles with 6 players, up to 8 can play. It was so much fun. Check the show notes at ataripodcast.com for links to Fandal's website, to Mashed Turtles, and to the sales page for the Xenophobe game that we talk about. Where do you live? Where are you from?
I live in Czech Republic. In the Czech Republic, in some very small village, lost in the woods. It's nothing special, just very small village. And how did I get in Atari world?
Yeah.
I guess I was 16 or 17, when my father bought me Atari 130 XA. It was back in the day. There was still communistic party or communist regime, so it wasn't very easy to get any computer actually. But he somehow managed to get one. Wow. It was bought from some guy in Prague, second-handed. So no new computer. The background story is that one friend of mine at the high school, he had Atari computer, and one day he just get this computer to the school, and I said, wow, because I was familiar with Spectrum computers,
sure.
ZX Spectrum, but for me, Atari was completely different level. It had joysticks, perfect sound, so I was impressed, and so I started to push my parents, okay, buy me Atari. They didn't know anything about computers, and they said, okay, we will try, and that's it. Nice. I guess it was year 88 or 87 when I get my first Atari computer. And I started programming. First of all, I was playing games, just games. Sure. I was gamer. Later, I started some programming in BASIC, and yes, I was able to write small programs in machine language. And I sold my Atari when I was 21 or 22. I don't remember exactly, and I came back to Atari in 98 or 97, just because I wanted to play some my favorite old games like Zybex or Draconus, and I realized that Atari is still alive. I was surprised because I didn't expect to see Atari, but thanks to internet, I just realized, okay, it is still there. So I started to collect software, and in 2003 or 2004, I decided to start a small database of Atari programs, and yeah, since that moment, it is still growing. That's it.
Nice. You have a very good website about Atari things that you have.
That's it. It started in 2005, maybe. I'm not sure. It started as a collection of my personal favorite programs. And Yes, I started to collect. Yes, my goal was to collect everything because there was no Atari Mania, no sites where you can find everything. And, but I wasn't alone who had that idea. So you can see that Atari Mania started in 2003 or maybe 2004. So I wasn't alone. And everything was ready in 2004. I know Atari Mania was there, but I decided to start it my site anyway. And that's it.
But how did you manage to digitize all the marvelous stuff you have even developed?
Actually, I'm digitalizing programs from Eastern Europe only. It was shared on tapes, primarily on tapes. It was very difficult to get a disk drive in Eastern Europe. So everything was, almost everything was shared on tapes, pirate copies only. It wasn't possible to officially buy anything in the former Czechoslovakia. So maybe you remember there were some FTP sites where you could download Atari software. Let's say in the year 2000, but there was no website, no web interface, just FTP sites.
Right.
So I downloaded. It was called Holmes FTP site.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was my first big source, and there was no structure. It was just pile of disks dumped without any conception. So I started to make some structure, to find valid copies and so on. If you are talking about digitalizing original software, I was able to get to buy some old tapes from Czechoslovakia, and I was able to find some interesting software from Eastern Europe, but software from the USA or from Western Europe, it wasn't digitalized by me. I just sorted those FTP sites, and that's it.
But I was asking for the equipment, the technical equipment.
Technical equipment.
Yes, right. Did you make something of electronical devices to do the transfer?
I just bought a CO2 PC interface.
That's what I asked.
Just a cable with some electronics, and I used my tape recorder with Turbo 2000 modification, because it was very popular in Eastern Europe, so it was much faster than original Atari tapes, and actually it was a hack. It was hacked tape hardware. There was some additional electronics inside the tape recorder. So even now, if you want to, you can buy tapes, boxes full of tapes from Eastern Europe, and it's up to you to go through thousands of files, but it's a very time-consuming work.
Yes, that's why I've asked, because I have archived my 650 diskettes from the golden time, even with a CO2 PC cable, but that took a bunch of time. But
crazy.
You are even harder. First, you have an incredible more and greater archive than I have. That's the one thing. And the other thing, as you already said, with cassettes, not with diskettes. So that should take 1 year or so.
I think that I spent 2 or 3 years by sorting those images, and it was really crazy. Today I wouldn't start this. No way.
But we are so lucky you did. Of course.
Actually, I saved some software from Eastern Europe, but not too much actually.
Yeah. Today we have finished a secret project which will be announced in Antec in the near future. Did you copy and saved the programs you have in turbo mode or in normal 600 baud mode?
What was the question?
There was some special project which were very famous in Eastern Europe, and that means they have increased the capabilities of the cassette.
Yes.
From 600 baud to 6,000. Even our Polish friends have managed up to 7,200 bauds.
Yes, I know.
And yes, but you haven't saved tape in that mode, so you could manage your task a little bit faster.
Actually, you need to have that specific hardware modification.
Yeah.
And my tape, I only have tapes with Turbo 2000 modifications. So I'm not able to read any faster turbo records.
So it's even harder to finish the project.
Yes. For me, it makes no sense anymore to use tapes because it's just crazy. It made some sense, let's say 15 years ago, but today with all those SD devices, why?
Just in case of using both lanes or both tracks of the tape, when additional voice comes over, that is what we have in the wiki, the chapter for voice and tape. So there were some cassettes for educational purposes, for other stuff, for learning stuff and so on. And in this case, I think it makes sense, but even from nowadays retrospective, it's a little bit difficult, you're right.
I'm not sure if those Eastern turbo modifications are able to read both tracks. I'm not sure. I think it's not possible. But I'm not. I think that Czech version of turbo modification wasn't able to.
And I'm sure one person's modified cassette drive was probably incompatible with another person's if they did a slightly different modification.
That's another problem.
Yeah.
And moreover, these
faster
modifications, those records were pretty unstable, as far as I know.
Yeah. 2 hours ago we have solved this. We show you, of course, in advance. No problem. You're invited.
So I'd like to talk about your programming that you do today. You release games all the time.
But as you might know, I wrote games. I try to write at least one game each year, but those games are quite simple. I do not write any special games.
Well, I disagree. I was playing Fruity Pete today. It's a lot of fun. It's
a simple game.
It's
fun.
But it's fun.
But
it doesn't have to be complicated to be fun.
Yeah, it's a quite simple game. First of all, I'm a self-taught programmer. Unlike Roger, who is professional programmer, and it's a big difference because he is able to program much more complicated stuff. I'm not. I'm just. I'm usually trying to do my best, but personally, as a programmer, I'm nothing special. I know I release some conversions from another computers. It's different story. It's just mechanical work. If you want to convert, let's say, stunt car racer, I think any professional programmer would be able to do that. But it took 6 months of work, which is crazy. And if you have enough time like me, because I'm a single person, no girlfriend, no children, no problem, so I can spend 6 months of my life to convert let's say, complicated game, but I'm not able to write it from scratch. No.
But I just can say I have over 1,000 contacts in my address book, but with all I'm in contact, mostly of the Western Hemisphere, they only tell me regarding Fandal, great work. Just 2 words saying it all. That we are so happy with your games, with the modification you're making.
I think that they are simple and fun to play, but from technical viewpoint, there is nothing special. That's it.
But your knowledge has increased that much over the time. For you, maybe that is simple. For us, it is still incredible, as Kevin said. We have so much fun with your programs, which all you have done.
It's nice to hear.
Yes, it's the truth. You are a living legend, and we are glad to
a living legend.
Yes.
That's funny.
How do you develop? Do you use a Woodson or Mads, or how do you program? What's your development environment?
Idea. That's first step. Idea. Good idea. And how I start? I usually I'm not able to, let's say, how to say it in English, to develop a game from scratch. I usually take an idea from, let's say, PC world or mobile world. Fruity Pete it's a different story. I really started to this game from scratch. It started like, okay, and this year I would like to make a game, but which one? And so I said, okay, let's collect something, and that's it. So usually I just port an idea for the game from another platform, or let's say one of my favorite games is Mesh Turtles. And these meshed turtles.
Okay. Oh, mashed turtles.
Mashed turtles.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry for my English.
No.
And this started when I saw very similar game on Atari Falcon. It's called Bugger or Bugger. I don't remember. I don't know how to read it. And it's very, very similar. So I just took the idea for the game. Okay, let's have 6 or 8 animals crossing the street, and that's it.
But isn't it true that the most important and most successful games, it's the same with ideas, the more simple, the better they are. And that is maybe just one of the reasons for your success.
Maybe, you are right. If you look to, let's say, to mobile games or PC flash games, usually they are very, very easy.
Yes.
Very easy to play. Yes, I know.
Maybe you have known of Flippy, the app.
Flappy Bird?
Flappy Bird. Yeah, sure.
It's so stupid. So I don't understand why it was so successful, because it couldn't be more simple. Just one button. That's it. Unbelievable. But somehow it is playable. Somehow it's fun to play. Yeah, there is some magic inside. Yes, I know.
Maybe you know how to touch the people. That is your secret.
Maybe.
Now, many of your games are multiplayer games that use the multi-joystick.
I think 5 or 6 original games.
We are glad about one.
But have you seen my latest game? It's called Multi-10. It was written for this ebook competition.
For this?
Yes, from this one. It was written in 2 weeks.
What's it called?
Multi-10.
Okay.
There is a game called Multi-10 on PC or on mobile. So I took this idea and I managed to, let's say, to make it for 4 players, and that's it. 2 weeks. Simple. That's it.
Yeah, but so advanced, so for you it's easy. For most of the users, maybe a nightmare. Or it took a year or so.
Maybe.
Yeah, sure.
But if you check some, let's say, Polish production, it's much more complicated, and I always say wow, because it's beyond my skills. It's simple. But somehow I just release 1 or 2 games each year, and how many my games do you play? Yeah. That's it.
Do you come to Fujiyama every year?
I try. I wasn't here last year because I was on Metal Festival. So yes, I was here 2 years ago, I guess. Maybe it's 5th or 6th times I'm here. It's close to Czech border, and it took 4 hours of driving to get here. So it's very perfect for me.
Do you go to other shows?
Do
you also go to other shows besides Fujiyama?
Other shows. Oh yeah. There is another retro computer party in Munich. It's called
VCF East.
Yes, I was there.
April.
I was there several times. I usually go to these, let's say, local, peaceful parties. I'm not visiting those competition parties like Outline, or they are usually based on competitions.
Combos, yeah.
So people is just trying to, or silly venture. I was there once. So I usually visit these parties where you can meet friends, and that's it. Some gaming, some beers.
So you just got here today. There's another 4 days of the show. How are you going to spend your time
Here? Yeah, as I said, talking to friends, beers, gaming. It's very important to have some friends to play multijoy games.
Sure. But many people seem to come here with an agenda. I'm going to solder 10 boards. I'm going to finish a program. So I was just wondering, that's why I asked if you had a plan or just...
I'm not a player, actually.
Yeah.
But the multiplayer games for Fandal here, even especially at the Fujiyama, are legendary. So you can even get the point in a blink of an eye if you see at the faces of the taking part players, then every question is answered, even those not asked for.
What I like about German parties is that people are friendly and yes, we are playing those games. If you came to Polish party, it's completely different.
Well, how? How is it different?
Everybody is drunk, completely drunk.
Let's go to some Polish parties, Roland.
It's
should face it. Yeah.
It's really crazy. I don't understand it because just those Polish guys, they came to party, and the first evening, they are completely gone. Everybody, every single person is drunk as a lord. I don't know why.
But I may have to admit that in earlier years where I have not been on board, or before my re-entry to Atari, there were some parties of that kind too. But then they discovered, for example, your games and other stuff, and they do not have any more need to drink and so on.
Any arguments?
But maybe that's the reason why we do not have a Slivovitz here. So that could be true.
I think that Polish parties are completely different from Czech or German ones, and somehow on German parties it works the same way like in Czech Republic. But don't go to Polish if you don't drink. If you don't drink, don't go there.
But even as I've heard, the parties from the Silly Venture are really legendary. I think Kevin, you have joined Silly Venture too on your own.
No, I've never been to Silly Venture.
But you have been to Poland recently.
Yes.
And met them. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We will face it.
Do you have a plan for your next project or your next game?
Actually, I'm still working on some games, and yes, I have some plans. I'm not sure if I can speak for free because two guys who came with me are working with me on this. But we would like to release some really massive game on cartridge. It should be point-and-click adventure and massive one.
Nice.
But development continues very, very slowly. It's completely different from my personal project because, as I said, I'm usually done in 1 month or something like that. So yes, we are working on something.
If you could send a message to...
yes. Sorry.
No.
Normally I know that this is your final.
Yeah. Is there something else I should ask? Yeah.
I have remaining 2 questions, but before I would like to ask, I would ask you in advance. I do not want to ask questions regarding putting post-traumatic stress on you, or stress of any kind, or any negative vibration. As you said, it is a cool party, you should feel well, should feel comfortable, you will get everything from us you want, no problem. But I think there are 2 questions which you have made and suffered, which is of key interest for the whole Atari worldwide community. And the question 1 is, if you would like to ask, but I don't want to interrupt them, is the lawsuit you have against Atari regarding your name in the web domain? There was some
You mean when Atari Incorporated sent me that funny email? That was...
Yeah, I don't think that was really funny.
What happened? I don't know the story.
It was...
I don't want to stress. So just
No problem. It was some strange history. Just one day I received my web page. It has different name. It was atari.fandal.cz.
Yes.
And one day I received an email from Atari Corporation that you are breaking the law because you are using Atari name in your web page name. So it's forbidden, and if you are not going to delete it or erase it, you can face some legal actions from Atari Incorporated. So I said, okay, that's funny. I tried to contact them via email, but with no response. So I said, okay. So I deleted my site completely for 1 month or something like that. But some people said, okay, don't do it. Just change name of your website and start again. So I said after, let's say, 6 months or something like that, okay, I'm relaxed now. Okay, let's start again. So I use different name for my website. It's a8.fandal. So I remove Atari word from the name of my website. And later I realized that many other web pages related to Atari world somehow where they received the same email. Even some it was funny, some British website called asteroids.space.com, they received an email, you are using Atari registered word.
Jeez, that's stupid.
And it is still there, but if you go there, there is a sign that asteroids.space doesn't have any relations to Atari. It's about asteroids. It's crazy. So yeah, it was somehow crazy situation. I don't remember why Atari tried to, let's say, I don't understand it, but why they started this campaign.
Yeah.
Somehow they were searching internet for Atari World or asteroids or I don't know what.
Yeah.
For their registered trademarks or whatever.
Lawyers have to look busy sometimes, make it look like
As
they're...
far as I know, there was a famous site Atari 2006, and it was erased from that moment. It was run by some personal who said, "Okay, it's enough," and he just left Atari scene. As far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, but.
But it was, I remember, a real shock here in the Western Hemisphere, as we heard, Fandal's site was shut down.
Yeah.
That was a break in our heart, really.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that
because we didn't know. Is this forever? Is this just for time? Do you have just didn't pay your electricity bill or so on? So then there will be hope. But we do not know just any status. Only with the meetings we could solve such problems. Okay, now we are in contact.
just remember that my site is just actually it's a mirror of my personal pile of software. Yes. There are much, let's say, much richer databases like Atari Mania. It's much more. It's massive. I think that they really have almost everything. I think it's much better source than mine. For Atari community, they have scans, they have manuals or whatever.
Yeah, sure. But that is mainly due to the copyright laws in France than in other countries, even if it's part of the EU. Even in Germany, the copyright laws are much harder than in France, of course. That's the one thing. Yeah. And the second question, if you don't mind, is regarding xenophobia.
It's another story.
Because I have something in mind after. If you like to,
no problem.
Say something.
Just ask.
Okay. Then please start.
Xenophobia. It was. It has been 10 years ago or something like that. There was a big. What was the name of that guy? John Scrunch? John Scrunch, maybe? It was the last employee of Atari.
Okay, I don't know.
If you check some games for Atari Jigger, for example, he is a producer of many Atari games for ST, for Falcon, for Atari Jigger, and he was, I'm not sure, but he says he was the last employee of Atari Incorporated after bankruptcy. So he had pile of unreleased stuff, of prototypes, and so on. Not only for Atari 8-bit, but for many other platforms. And I would say it was 10 years ago, so he started to sell his stuff on eBay, including some prototypes like Commando, original prototypes, physical prototype cartridges. And one of them was Xenophobe. Probably the only existing prototype on Earth. So
of Xenophobe for the Atari 8-bit.
For 8-bit. He was selling other prototypes, but unlike Xenophobe, all of them were dumped, like Commando, Deflector, maybe others. So I decided to buy this one and to dump it, and I had an agreement with Video 61 that if I send them my dump, they will be able to produce it, because I'm not able to produce physical cartridges. No way. It's just impossible for me. He has a store, so he is able to produce this one. So I So I bought it. Unfortunately, it was quite expensive. I bought it for 2,000 American dollars, and I had to pay another $400 for some stupid taxes. So I spent a lot of money, and I get $5 for each sold copy. And today I get back something like $600 or $700 American dollars. So I'm still losing a lot of money.
You've lost a lot of money on this venture.
I was pretty naive that I would got my money back in 1 year or something like that. But usually there are 10 or maybe 15 sold copies per year, so it's nothing.
So if people appreciate your work in the community, they should go to Video 61 and buy a copy of Xenophobe. Okay.
Yes, I would.
There'll be a link in the show notes.
Yes, I would encourage the listener to do so. That would be great.
But
you're not native.
As I said, I get $5 for each copy, so at least 200 people should buy this.
Sure.
And I think it's beyond his, let's say, his possibilities to produce 200 copies because he had to open, let's say, some. Actually, it's a special cartridge. Actually, it's a 128 kilobytes cartridge. So he has to open some XEGS cartridge like Crossbow or Barnyard Blaster or whatever, and he had to reprogram those chips and close it and sell it. So it's I think it's a painful work even for him.
Okay. So you sold the rights for publishing to Video 61, or?
I think there are no rights.
No. So the rights
it's just a gentleman agreement.
Okay.
There are no rights. I think that even that person, John Scrunch, or how to read it, I think even he doesn't have or didn't have any rights to produce anything. Who has rights? Atari Corporated was bought by Hasbro.
It's been bought and sold like 100 times
So
now.
many
But
times
But anyway, you are not naive. You are a passionate Atarian user, power user, and provider, of course, down to the blood. And in Germany, we would say you have your heart on the right side. So everything you have done is completely fine. I just heard the story that there are many Atari users who said, okay, I will order one. And when you have all spent that money, they don't have the money. And so that is the story we have heard here. So you are sitting on a lack of money, and if the listener maybe can spend you some money, if it's possible, so you get at least a neutralized balance for your support and all you have done for.
I think it's simply impossible to find out if there are some rights. I know that Video 61 is selling, let's say, some games conversions from. It's called Venture. This game. It's conversion from ColecoVision.
Yes.
And they are selling it. And somebody somewhere probably has rights for this game, but who would care? I know that Nintendo is very strictly on this.
Yes.
That they are simply not allowing anybody to publish anything. But it's a company that it is still there, still in the business, and it's the same company it used to be, let's say, 20 years ago. But the rest,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's even a company in Scotland who was holding about quick the rights from just
Really?
for the English version and just for some special version, but not for all. And they even
And they are
has
still
cost some
trying,
trouble.
still trying.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that's crazy.
In order to thank you, maybe I hope so. Years ago, I don't forget such things, so don't worry. You have begged me to offer 2 titles of Atari, yet as prototypes, but existing
Somewhere.
on the wiki. I think one of them was The Search for the Pink Panther, with the marvelous music from Henry Mancini.
It is in the hands of some private person somewhere in USA, I think.
Yes, and because Antic is heard worldwide, so if just one listener knows someone who has that prototype, please give us a message.
I think that some Atari Age users know that person.
Yeah.
I think so. But there are other games that are supposed to exist, like that was Liberator.
Yes,
It was probably finished.
Yeah, I have included those 2 types you are searching for. I know for on the wiki. We have at the wiki the site Rarity 10 with respect and for a big thank you for Timemania.
Yeah, and did you received any message? No.
Just anything, but we have more listeners than readers of the wiki, so therefore there is still hope that someone special who is having access to those games is listening to this Antic podcast and will tell us. That would be a great contribution to the community, of course.
That would be really nice.
So
I'm not sure if these games actually exist. It is sure that it is called Parasite of Pink Panther.
yes, but
Yes,
but
it is somewhere.
traces
It is
from-
hidden
we have-
somewhere
we-
because
yes,
there are some videos running this game on a real hardware.
Yeah.
So it has to be somewhere. But Liberator or I was told that Ikari Warriors was even in process of some conversion, but who knows?
it's the same with the truth. It's somewhere out there.
Truth is out there.
Hopefully.
Yeah, sure. So if you know of those games, please contact Fandal or please contact Kevin or us.
Yeah.
You would do Fandal a great pleasure as he has done for the whole community worldwide. Thank you.
That would be nice. Thank you.
Do you have any more questions?
No.
Okay, then I'm going to ask my last question.
Yeah,
Okay.
If you could send a message to all of the Atari community that still exists, and you can right now, what would you tell them?
My message: be friendly. Be friendly and stay Atari. That's it. Support your programmers. Support your favorite computer platform. That's it.
All right.
Yeah.
And maybe go to Poland for the Atari parties there if you want to.
Yeah. If you want to know what to be drunk as a lord means, then go to Atari
Thank you, Fandal.
parties. Oh,
Appreciate it.
yeah, my pleasure. Love hands.
If you enjoy these interviews and would like to contribute, make a tax-deductible contribution to the Internet Archive, a non-profit digital library that has done incredible things to preserve computer history. Make your tax-deductible contribution at archive.org/donate. Thanks.